My pleasure.
So people are immediately jumping to this happened at Boston, this changes the world of marathoning. From your position, does it overnight just change everything about your business?
Well, yes and no. Everything changed post 9/11, right? If we really want to roll back the clock, security protocol, the way in which public events were managed really dramatically changed back in 9/11. I'm not downplaying the heinous tragedy of yesterday's events in Boston. What I think the outcome is that the next level of security will now be deployed, and we're all going to learn from these events, and we're already in deep conversations with government agencies from the FBI all the way down to see what we can do to take things to the next level to make sure that the experience for runners and spectators is safe at big public events.
Do you think this is going to have any effect on just how many people from here on out start to sign up to do marathons because of it?
Not at all. In fact, we're seeing quite a rally cry. Today, the industry, everybody in the country is wearing their race tees from various marathons that they've participated in. I think one of the great things about America is in the face of incredible evil, good rises to the top. And this isn't an attack on marathons or runners. This is an attack on America. So I don't think this is negatively going to impact participation in running events. This could have happened at the Masters. This could have happened at Fenway Park. This could have happened in any number of public venues. It happened to be the Boston Marathon, one of the more historic races in the world.
Yeah, and Scott, you talk about a resilient group of people. Runners would be would certainly be that. So I would think that rather than seeing a drop-off in participation, you might see an uptick in participation.
There's definitely a rally cry. And most importantly, what's taking place today is a collection of all the photography and video from that finish line. We had 12 employees, a lot of our editors and photographers and videographers on the finish line. What we're trying to do is work as closely as we can with the authorities and the FBI to make sure that we give them every piece of information available.
Yeah, and Scott, because Competitor Group runs not only the San Diego Rock and Roll Marathon, but all the rock and roll marathons, you look around the country at cities. I think of Las Vegas right off the top of my head. A place where if you were a terrorist and you were trying to do damage, that would be the kind of high-profile, high-visibility type of target. So I just wonder if it just changes kind of the whole mentality of dealing with local governments and local police forces and the FBI, who you've already mentioned, as you've already said, by the way, taking security to a completely new extreme.
Yeah.
Well, a few weeks ago, we had a major race in the nation's capital, Rock and Roll USA, and there's no more complicated place to operate a special event in the District of Columbia. At the start of the race, even in that particular instance, we've got Homeland Security snipers on the top of buildings, providing security for the start line. There are all types of different protocol that have been deployed in major cities, including Boston yesterday. We're all going to learn from this, and we're going to take it to the next level. Next weekend, we have a massive race, bigger than Boston, in Nashville called the Country Music Marathon, and we've already been in deep conversations with all the government agencies, federal, FBI, as well as local in Nashville, about how we react to yesterday's tragic event.
But I really don't know what, listen, I'm no security expert, okay, but I don't know what the answers are when, look, you go to a ball game, Scott, right? You go to a Charger game, you go walking through the turnstile, they pat you down. But there's really not much that can be done on the outside.
Well, when so much can be public.
Well, right. I mean, here we have the Boston Marathon as an example. Nobody needed tickets necessarily to be walking the streets.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't even know, perhaps you do, where will Homeland Security, FBI, police, et cetera, where will they go to try and make sure that the streets, they're public and open and free, can be safer in the future?
Well, I think that's a very complicated question, one that I'm clearly not qualified to answer. But you have to think about all public events, concerts, parades, there are any number of gatherings where these types of events or tragedies can take place, and this is not specific to running. This is specific to any big public celebration or gathering. You know, what about a parade following the Giants winning the World Series? You fundamentally are at risk in any of these major public events.
I think you're so right on. I mean, there is always going to be that risk. And Scott, I'm sure your phone has been ringing like crazy because immediately, like I said, the story goes from, this happened in Boston
to where could it possibly happen next?
Right, and considering your company is the international leader in running marathons, of course everybody wants to talk to you. Scott, we really appreciate you being available to us early this morning.